We're currently being told by state and federal governments to stay home unless it's absolutely necessary to go out, to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Governments use home here to mean our physical residence or dwelling, but research tells us that psychologically and culturally, home is much more than that. Home is also a place of retreat. Home is fundamental to our emotional well-being, to our development and maintenance of close and meaningful relationships, and for routines and rituals that help us feel safe and secure. But that's a very positive description of home. Where there's domestic and family violence, home is not a positive place. Domestic and family violence, meaning controlling behaviours including physical, emotional and financial abuse, occurs in many Australian families. Significant job losses and social isolation resulting from COVID-19 restrictions has led to increased concern that for victims of family violence, who are usually but not always women and children, the risk is higher than ever. My recent research with Associate Professor Kristen Natalia at Flinders University, Professor Bruce Smythe at the Australian National University, and Dr. Monica Campo at Melbourne Law School with me shows us how domestic and family violence threatens children's sense of home. Of the 68 children and young people we interviewed, 38 came from families where a parent, also interviewed for the study, reported domestic and family violence. That rate of domestic and family violence is consistent with larger Australian studies on post-separation parenting. We noticed that children and young people who came from families where domestic and family violence was reported were particularly inclined to emphasise safety as being central to their sense of home. When we asked them what they thought of first when they heard the word home, feeling safe was often what they said. Feeling protected was vital for them. If they did not feel safe, they couldn't feel at home. For their mothers, domestic and family violence presented a significant barrier to the creation of home, both during and after relationship separation. Mothers described escaping domestic and family violence with their children. They described crisis accommodation, they described homelessness, they described the ongoing impacts on themselves and their children, financial and emotional, of abusive partners. Those impacts resulted in part from children's ongoing time with abusive parents due to our Australian family law system's encouragement of ongoing parent-child relationships after separation. It also resulted from mothers' inability to obtain fair financial settlements from abusive ex-partners, including child support. Despite this, some mothers reported that leaving violent relationships allowed them a level of liberation from domestic and family violence that meant that they were able to create, for the first time, a sense of home for themselves and their children. So what does all this tell us about COVID-19 and domestic and family violence? First of all, safety is central to our sense of home. Second of all, home is not a safe place when there's domestic and family violence. Third of all, it's very, very difficult to leave a violent relationship. Violence can escalate at this time and continue. It's vital that there is support to leave. Governments, courts, police and other frontline services are right to be focusing on the acute need to provide increased practical support to victims of domestic and family violence at the moment, including increased emergency housing and other services, to assist them to have a home that they can stay in, as we've all been told to do, unless it's absolutely necessary to go out.